Alright, so I just want to quickly be very transparent about something. I never grew up playing the Ratchet & Clank games. The only one that I played before the making of this video was Rift Apart on the PlayStation 5, which I have a lot to say about that game, so I'll probably do it in a future episode. But anyway, back on track, we're going to be talking about Ratchet & Clank on the PlayStation 4 today. But the reason why I thought some clarification was necessary is because a major talking point about this game is the way it kind of acts as a revitalization of the PlayStation 2 game, a game which I never played, so I can't really talk about, how this game compares to it. The most I can do is echo other people's opinions, whether that be how they kind of made the characters feel more hollow, or, the added weapons and just all of that kind of stuff. However, I don't really like to do that if I don't have to, because then it's just me saying other people's opinions, and what's the fun in that? Maybe in the future, once I play the original game, then I can kind of make a separate video comparing the two. But in general, this video is going to be from the mindset of looking at Ratchet & Clank on the PlayStation 4 just as its own game, because I feel like a lot of people haven't really done that, just because naturally it's about comparing, how it is versus how the old was. But yeah, with all that yapping aside, let's talk about Ratchet & Clank, released in 2016 for the PlayStation 4. I still remember whenever this game did release, I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, so that's why I never played it back then. But I remember as a kid always being kind of enticed by it, especially just with how colorful and vibrant the visuals of the game are, especially because at the time that this released in, this was kind of during that generation where every third-party AAA game was smeared in mud and just looked very depressing. Not saying that those games are bad, it's just, whenever you see a lot of them at one point in time, it makes anything else that looks very vibrant and colorful much more visually whoa, you know what I mean? It's just right in your face. But yeah, I mean, just on the topic of visuals, being that this game released in 2016, it definitely does look pretty good. Whether that's just the way the environments are designed, or just the animations, even just little things of how whenever you break the boxes and all the bolts just get absorbed into Ratchet, it looks pretty good. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go and give you a little bit of context in case if you've never played this game or just the franchise as a whole. Essentially in this game, the story is told from Captain Quark, and it's directly relating to the tie-in movie, which by the way, I didn't watch the movie, so I can't review that. So sorry if you're a Ratchet & Clank movie fan, but anyway, the game definitely wants you to watch it. And we play as Ratchet, who is a Lombax who wants to join the Galactic Rangers. We meet up with Clank and they just kind of instantly become best friends or whatever. And then they want to stop Dr. Nefarious from all of his evil schemes of destroying planets. I don't know, the story was cute, but I would be lying if I said that that's the reason I started playing the game in the first place. I just kind of wanted to blow shit up with the fun weapons. I do want to give credit where credit is due, because the story was at the very least serviceable, especially if you are someone that's looking for just a fun, kid-friendly story for a whimsical adventure. I mean, it definitely does do the job. The writing is solid. It definitely has its cringe moments, but for the most part, it's fine. But like I said, I came here for the gameplay, for, just shooting bad guys up with whimsical, fun guns and weapons and stuff. And for the most part, it was definitely very fun. Some of my personal favorite weapons to use were things like the Pyrocitor, which is just a flamethrower, which was honestly hilarious, just seeing the enemies get engulfed in flames. You had the fusion grenades, which were nothing too crazy, but it just allowed you to toss up some grenades to blow stuff up. I really like the Pixelizer, which is where you kind of turn the enemy into a very retro, almost 16-bit inspired, just sprite of its former self. I do really like the whole gameplay loop of quickly swapping between the different weapons in order to best fit whatever the situation at hand was. Or maybe you run out of ammo with one thing, so maybe I'm using the combustor, run out of ammo, and I have to quickly switch over to the Pyrocitor to do some quick melee close range damage. Now, the part of the gameplay that did unfortunately very much disappoint me is just pretty much everything relating to audio. For For one thing, the music in this game is like very generic and boring, and it's definitely easy to see why, because this is a movie tie-in game, so they were definitely going for like that very cinematic style with the music. However, after playing this game while listening to the music and everything for like an hour and a half, I just immediately muted the game and started listening to my own music, because it just was not doing a good job at kind of like bringing me into the atmosphere of, you know, what I was looking for. And I know I wasn't gonna, you know, tie in the original game, but I will say that after hearing a bunch of people saying that the original music from Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 2 was fire, I looked it up, and holy shit, I wish that they used the original soundtrack. And the other part about the audio that I wasn't a fan of is how the characters just don't know how to shut the up.
Whoa! Attention, citizens! You may have noticed we are in the midst of a small, insignificant invasion.
Ratchet bashed his enemies using his trusty Omni-Wrench.
Enemy down!
It definitely is somewhat nitpicky, but it definitely did contribute to, once again, why I just decided to mute the game and listen to my own stuff, because it definitely did get annoying pretty quickly. This game also does really love to treat the player like they're an idiot. This is not something that only this game does, but every single time it really makes me roll my eyes. In the intro stage where you first play as Clank, there is one part where you have to use like a little jump pad to get over a ledge. And, you know, Captain Quark just had to make sure to tell you that that was what you were supposed to do instead of letting you as the player figure it out. Once again, very nitpicky things, but just something I wanted to talk about. But yeah, overall, I would say the game is at the very least fun. It's definitely not like one of my favorite games of all time, and I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but I was kind of hoping to get more engrossed in the overall experience. And like I said, I have already played Rift Apart, and this is one of the main reasons why I was somewhat disappointed, because Rift Apart kind of blew me away compared to this. But aside from the weak soundtrack, poor writing, and a somewhat mediocre story, I would say this was a very fun game. The gameplay was certainly fun. I still did get that sense of dopamine from just slashing down enemies left and right, and at the very least, that's what I was looking for going into this experience. So if you want to see me play any of the other Ratchet and Clank games, I would be more than happy to, because I have especially been wanting to play the retro ones, perhaps the one that this game is based on in the first place. That'd be really fun. But yeah, if you have any of your own opinions about Ratchet and Clank, specifically the PS4 game, feel free to let me know in the comments, maybe what I got right or what I got wrong. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, as that is the best way to support the channel, and I would love to do more PlayStation videos like this, so if that's something you would love to see, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace out.